An array is a group of numbers stored as a unit. They're found on properties like position and scale, as well as color values. You can imagine an array as a simple container filled with related data. The array is made up of a series of data points that are encased in square brackets and separated by commas. An array may contain any number of elements. The most common array lengths for After Effects are 2 and 3-dimensional, while 4-dimensional arrays are used for color properties. Arrays are zero-index, meaning the first element of the array has an index of 0 and the 10th value has an index of 9. To single out an array's element, you must refer to its index value by using square brackets to surround it. Sometimes arrays may be called vectors. A vector is simply an array of numeric data and does not contain other data types. When working with array property values, sometimes you only need to manipulate a single dimension. In this case, you can single out the array indices and then combine them for final evaluation. In this composition, you'll notice a background moving steadily over time. There's also a rocket in the center and a control layer at the top of the timeline. You can build a custom array and link this slider control to the rocket to allow it to dodge the planets. So first you want to come down to the rocket null layer and hit P on your keyboard to open position. You'll notice there's already some keyframes here, which allows the rocket to move across the sky. So you can add a new expression by alt-clicking the stopwatch, and then come up to the control layer and just highlight it so we can see the effect controls panel. Now I can come down and grab the pick whip on the position expression, come up to rocket dodge, and let go on the slider value. So this creates some automatic syntax here on 2 lines, and it's already created a variable for us. I'm going to change this to rock pose for rocket position. Now on the second line, I'm actually just going to make a new array instead of the temp values here. So I'm going to start with an open square bracket, and then value, open square bracket again, 0, close square bracket. So this is going to reference the first index of the original values array. Then I'm going to add a comma, space, and then do it again, but I'm going to use 1 as the index number instead of 0. And then I'm going to follow that with a comma, space, and then do it one more time with an index of 2. And then I'm going to close the array, so another square bracket. So this is basically a long form version of just typing in value, but we want the separated array. So using this array as your base, you can place your cursor after value 1, which is our y-axis, and then I'm going to add an addition operator, so a plus, and then I'm going to add rock pose, which is our earlier variable, to the y position. So now our expression's done. I'm going to click off the expression field, and now you can come up to the control layer and drag the slider to make the rocket move up and down, kind of like an old school video game. So if I throw some keyframes down, and I'm going to highlight all of them and hit F9 on the keyboard to create easy ease keyframes. And now if you RAM preview the scene, you'll notice that the slider is now affecting the rocket's Y position using our custom array. You can manipulate array values with basic math to affect certain elements in the array or the entire array itself. For example, if you wanted to add position to another position, you can add the arrays together. Let's take a look at the previous example and use an alternate approach to build the expression. The first line of the previous expression is going to remain intact, so you can keep that, but the second line we're going to replace. So you can start the second line with the word value, which references the original position value. After value, I'm going to add a simple addition operator, which is a plus, and then follow it with a custom array. So I'm going to open a square bracket. The first array index is going to be 0 because we don't want to affect the x-axis. Follow that with a comma. The second array index is going to be rock pose from earlier, and that's going to affect our y-axis. And then we're going to close this array with a square bracket. And now we're done. It's a much simpler approach, but it does the exact same thing. So if I click away from the expression and RAM preview the scene, you'll notice that this does the exact same thing as our previous expression. Now with the magic of undo and redo, I'm going to show you the difference. So in our original expression, we had the variable which linked to the slider, and then we separated each of the array indices and then added the variable to the second or y-axis of the position. Now in the new expression, we have the same variable linking to the same slider, but this time we're taking just the original value, which is already a 3-dimensional array, and we're adding it to a 2-dimensional array with 0 as a placeholder for the x-axis and the variable still affecting the y-axis, which gives us the same output. Now there are a couple of caveats to this. While you can add or subtract arrays with each other, you cannot multiply or divide an array with another array. You can only multiply or divide an array by a single scalar value. Also, when adding and subtracting arrays of different dimensions, After Effects will fill in the blanks with 0 values. For example, when adding a 2-dimensional array to a 4-dimensional array, After Effects, behind the scenes, fills in a 0 for the 3rd and 4th array indices on the shorter array, so that the number of indices match. We've arrived at the end of lesson 303, working with and manipulating array values. If you enjoy this expressions course, consider purchasing the paid content. It includes in-depth documentation, extra tutorial content, high-definition videos, and all the project files used in the training. Your purchase will help to create more free courses like this in the future.